What's up guys, welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. And today, yes guys, it's an arm day, and boy have I missed those. Arm days simply are one of the most fun days, at least to me, to work out. But that does have a specific reason, and my personal reason is, well, I haven't had a day like this in almost, 1.5 years or so it was kind of something I missed doing. And I love big arms on a bodybuilder, but most importantly, I've been training really heavy and consistently for a couple of months now in this off season, and I noticed that I simply was missing enough recovery. I was missing some off days. So adding an arm day and then having a rest day afterwards, I only have 4 workout days in a row, then I have a rest day, and then I repeat. So the arm day is pretty much less of a degree of effort compared to a back day or a leg day. So to me, it's like an active rest day, but at the same time, I'm able to really sculpt and create those arms I've always wanted and really work on the weak points, my triceps. I will be making a more dedicated video about my change in workout split, and I'll explain to you exactly why I've made this change. But for now, let's just say this arm day is a welcome addition to my workout split to make me be able to recover from the other days, and it simply adds more detail to my physique that I always wanted in terms of arm mass at specific points. But I am starting out with the rope pushdown, and that is a tricep movement. So this arm day starts out with the triceps. When you're doing an arm day yourself, look at your arms objectively and see, okay, what am I missing really? Is it the biceps or the triceps or both equally? Then it doesn't really matter. But now for me, it is a tricep. So I start out with doing a tricep exercise. And the sequence of tricep exercises really does matter as well. I can do a French press or a skull crusher or any compound movement for the triceps pretty heavily, even with good form and a full range of motion. So that does put a lot of pressure and tension on the elbow joint. Now, to prevent that from ever hurting for me, because thankfully hasn't yet, and a lot of people do have elbow tendonitis because of heavy training, I first do these rope tricep pushdowns to warm up the joint, warm up that area, the elbow, the triceps, before moving to a heavier exercise like this. And by the way, the last 2 sets on the tricep pushdown, set number 5 was actually a top set, the heaviest set, and then set number 6 was a back off set, doing a little less weight with more reps to really get as much blood in the muscle as possible, but still combining it with the previous set of going heavier. I'll be doing the same thing with this seated French press. Sometimes I do the French press laying down or in an incline bench, but this time it's on a preacher curl. So if your gym doesn't really have a bench that frees up the head space, then try it on a preacher curl bench like this, and it really does work nicely. Even though I'm pretty tall, I really need to adjust the seat to the lowest setting, and otherwise my body will be really awkward on this bench right here. But still, it's a nice way to do this exercise in a different angle. So what you want to do here is really focus on the stretch. As you can see, when I'm going upwards, I don't really focus on the contraction as much as the stretch. During the first exercise of this arm day, I already focused a lot of that optimum contraction, really focusing on getting that blood in there at the contraction part. But now, because the triceps are nice and pumped up with blood, it's time to stretch them out to the max, because whenever you stretch out a muscle to the max, that's the point of maximum hypertrophy, potential, at least if you go heavy enough and stuff like that. And you just saw me do set number 4, a very heavy set, and then a back off set. And the back off set you always do to failure. So you always do about 20% less weight and then go to failure with that weight, but given that you have enough rest in between the heaviest set you did and then the back off set afterwards. So I call it the back off set because it backs off the weight, but because you've done such a heavy weight before, it feels much lighter, and mentally it almost looks much easier than the weight would have felt if you didn't do that heavy set before. So it's a great way to go to failure without having any mental barriers to do so. And then, one of the greatest tricep mass building exercises there is, the closed grip bench press. Haven't done this for a while either. Because it's a new arm day, I'm really trying out all these proven and tested exercises to see which ones I like most and which ones I really want to improve on. But the arm day to me mostly is about getting as much blood in the muscle as possible and making sure that you do hit heavy weights, but with a correct form and full range of motion. And of course my dad is working out with me as well, wearing the new light blue golden era shirt available on vintagegenetics.com. And I have to say, it's pretty awesome to have your own dad work out with you no matter where in the Netherlands you go to, because you guys see, this is not the usual gym I train at. This gym is almost 2 hours away from where I live. And then the previous episode of the off season, episode number 3 on my channel, you saw that I was invited here to officially open this gym, a reopening actually, and I was invited to actually bring some people here because of my popularity as an athlete in the Netherlands. That's how most gyms do that. But it was pretty awesome, and I really like this gym as well. It has a lot of Panetta machines, which this is one of them. But anyway, I'm now doing this closed grip bench press, and if you looked closely, I really go all the way up, especially with the lighter weights. I contract the triceps as well. I used to say that you don't want to go all the way up to lock out the elbows, but here it really brings value because you can properly contract the triceps and it becomes a more difficult exercise that way. So if you can do this without having elbow pain, I definitely recommend it because it brings more mind-muscle connection, and with that, a better pump, a better connection to the muscle, and ultimately muscle growth. Now this will be a superset, so I just did set number 3, the heaviest set, and then with, probably with 5 seconds of rest, I do a drop set. So here you can see the reps are going a little bit faster, because to me a drop set isn't about doing perfect reps afterwards. Obviously they have to look clean, but to me a drop set is all about getting as much blood in the muscle as possible, and that's accomplished by doing reps like this with constant tension on the muscle, given that you have a spotter behind you. And now that we did the tricep exercises, it's time for some bicep work on the closed grip preacher curl machine. Now I took the opportunity to use this machine as at our own gym, 100% Fit Gym, we are all about mostly free weights, so we do have a preacher bench, but not a preacher curl machine. And back in the day I used to do this machine quite a lot, mostly because it takes away the effort of putting on the plates on the barbell and stuff like that. And I just wanted to try it out because it always feels nice, especially when the range of motion on the machine is, very good. I can accomplish full range of motion here, even though my arms are quite long. So what you can see here is I go all the way down and then go all the way up. But on the heavier set, this one, I purposely don't go all the way down anymore. To me, it's then about the tension at the top, because my distal bicep tendons, which is the tendon connected from the forearm to the bicep, is quite sensitive to going, to really overstretching that tendon at the very bottom. So if you guys have any sensitivities there, when you go very heavy on a bicep curl and you go all the way down, that's where it might get aggravated. So I, keep myself from doing that until I feel no pain there at all. But usually doing that again aggravates it. So to me, because I can, build biceps quite easily, I don't need to do that the entire time. However, here with a lighter weight, you can see that I am able to go all the way down, stretch the biceps, and then go all the way up and contracting it. Because to me, the biceps is really also about getting as much blood in there as possible, but even more about feeling that peak contraction. For people who just start out bodybuilding, it might be difficult to grasp what does it mean to feel a muscle contract to the fullest. Well, to me, I can literally feel from the inside of my bicep when I contract it all the way at the top. The feeling I get there is like almost a knife from the inside trying to, find its way out. And that's the kind of pain you want to feel, but it's a good pain, if you know what I mean. A bad pain would be the tendon pain I was talking about before. The good pain is really feeling the muscle itself cramp up, contract, mind-muscle connection to the max. And that's how you really work on shaping that muscle to your desire. Being the sculptor in the gym, using the machines as your tools. So we just did the preacher curl with both arms at the same time, but doing it with one arm to me completely changes the feeling of the exercise. It allows you to focus on each arm individually. So if you have an imbalance in one of your arms, which most people do have, I do recommend at least doing one unilateral exercise for the biceps and the triceps. But usually the biceps, you can really see the difference when you do a front double bicep for some people. And for me, the left bicep is a little bit weaker in most instances, and I simply like to develop a little bit more compared to the right one. And because I know that my right bicep is stronger, I'm not starting out with the right bicep, because otherwise the left one wouldn't be able to keep up with the rep range the right bicep is able to do. So always start out with the smallest or weakest part of your body, and then match the reps with the stronger part. That way you will eventually even out those muscle bellies. What's also important is, if you look at the tempo here, the negative portion of the rep when you go down is slower than going upwards. And why is that? Because most muscle damage occurs on the negative portion of the rep, and you can also control the weight with that, but it's all about keeping the tension on the muscle. And if you simply drop the weight down, you lose tension, and then you lose a chance of muscle growth. Alright guys, if you've been following me for a long time, and with a long time I literally mean years, you probably recognize this old school tricep exercise. I call it the bodyweight tricep pushes, or bodyweight tricep exercises, bodyweight tricep, skull crushers, French presses, close grip bench presses. Basically what I do here is I use a Smith machine that you obviously can change the height of the bar of depending on your height of your body. You change this bar, and to me this first set was one setting too high. You can see that. It should be set a little lower than this, but this exercise is really amazing to finish off the triceps. It's an old school exercise done by Arnold back in the day, also by Lee Priest, with the most amazing arms in pretty much bodybuilding history. So what you simply do is you start out with a French press using your body weight, do 10 reps of those, then 10 reps of the skull crusher, so literally letting your forehead go to the bar, and then 10 reps of the close grip bench press. Usually you only have to do 2 sets of doing those 3 back to back, and you're pretty much good to failure after that one. If you still find it very easy to do, then either your form is incorrect and you're not really getting into the muscle, or you simply haven't done enough work in the exercises beforehand. So usually the first two parts of the entire exercise, the French press and this one, the skull crusher, are the easiest. But once you get to that closed grip tricep press variation, and you can really see me struggling here, it really starts to get difficult. And the only reason why it becomes difficult is because I'm really getting into the triceps. Here you can see that I'm really focusing on keeping my elbows close to my body as much as I physically can, and that stretches the triceps even more when I move my body towards the bar. And when I'm going upwards, I try to contract the tricep as well, really feeling the lactic acid build up, and go to failure that way. And here's my dad, of course, finishing off this workout. So this was the final tricep exercise of this entire workout. So 3 dedicated tricep exercises, and then 2 bicep exercises, and then 1 tricep exercise to finish it off with. This is a very basic yet very effective arm workout to make those arms grow, and you will for sure have muscle ache the next day if you do all these exercises the correct way. And the next time you see me during an arm day, it'll be those old school superset workouts once more. Anyway guys, I want to really thank you for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.